Takashi Yagihashi cooks an appetizer from Ambria in Chicago. It is seared Cape scallops with ceppe mushrooms, white asparagus, and an interesting reduced mushroom broth vinaigrette. Then from Nana's, Scott Howell's Durham, North Carolina restaurant, the chef-owner presents sautéed filet of jolthead, a type of sea bream, with tomato broth. Then Norman Love, corporate pastry chef of the Ritz-Carlton hotels, offers a sky-high Kahlua Souffle with chocolate sauce. Note his use of roasted coffee beans. At taping time, the chef at Ambria in Chicago was Takashi Yagihashi. He has since moved on, allegedly, to Detroit. He doesn't look old enough to work in all the kitchens he has. They include River Cafe in New York, Massa's in San Francisco, and Yoshi's in Chicago. Here are his seared scallops.
Here's the Cape scallops, very fresh from the main scallops. They're very sweet, like candies. Salt and pepper. They start in sauteed mushrooms. Here's the olive oil. Today we're gonna use the fresh ceps. Just a little bit more. Then check the green beans.
The chef has started to poach green beans in salted water.
Just a little bit more. Make sure that nice and golden brown. A little bit salt on the peppers. Touch of a little bit butter.
The green beans are drained, then go into ice water to stop the cooking.
Yep.
The ceps are turned.
Like this. Then now we're gonna put a little bit shallots and the garlic. If we put in a shallots and the garlic in the first place, sometimes get burned. So we wanna put the shallots and the garlic in the middle of the saute. Then a little bit of Italian parsley. Then keep it side and warm. And now we're gonna saute the sea scallops. The pan need very, very high and very hot because we wanna sear the scallops. Then otherwise we don't lose any juice. Put the sea scallops. In the meantime, put back the mushrooms. Then we're gonna add to this is a white asparagus, already branched. Put a little bit. And a little bit green beans. And then toss together. Then scallops. Like that. See scallops, this is a tiny base scallop, so saute them maybe just 1 minute. Okay, here is the mushrooms. It's the regular mushrooms. We put in 1 quart of water and 8 ounces of the mushrooms. Then we cook it like maybe 1 hour. It's a long time. And we're gonna reduce it.
Eventually, 1 quart of the mushroom stock is reduced to about 1 cup. It's the base of a vinaigrette.
Then we're gonna add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Then here's extra virgin olive oil. Then a little bit of salt and the peppers. Then mix it. Okay, this is the mushroom vinaigrette. Mushroom and asparagus and green beans. Center of the plates. This, a little bit more asparagus. Then sea scallops. Put a little bit mushroom vinaigrette on the top. Then a little bit of sharp on the top. It's a very simple dish.
While at the CIA, Scott Howell, a North Carolina native, interned for Jonathan Waxman and Paul Bartolotta. Then he traveled and worked in Italy before cooking at the famed Boulé in New York. Returning to North Carolina, he joined Ben Barker before opening Nana's. His entree is Jolthead and Broth.
Okay, first off, this is a jolthead. This is a fish that's coming off the coast of North Carolina. Some people call it porgy too. We're real successful in the restaurant with it. It's not a very expensive fish for it, so we like it as far as making money. I'm gonna cut down around the gill plate. Start in. It's a fairly flat fish, but it's really clean. It's gonna saute up firm. Once I get it to this point, I'll just trim it a little bit. Trim the belly. Pull the pins.
Pin bones are removed with needle nose pliers.
The thing that's kind of key about it as far as this fish is we like to keep the skin on it. Making sure that all the scales are off. What we like to do is nip it right in the middle. Keeping it tight. And just score the skin all the way down here. What that does is it allows instead of the fish folding up like you see sometimes when it's sauteed, the fish will fillet soft. It'll be much more relaxed. And I think it's much more tender when it's like that, when it's sauteed. So I'm gonna leave it here. And we'll go to work the broth, the basil tomato broth with fresh chanterelles. So the first thing I wanna do is trim the chanterelles. It's a little bit big, so we'll make them about like that. I've already rubbed these off with a damp towel. And I like to keep them when they're small like that. Oh. These are the first of the season, so they're nice and small. Really tender. We find on the mushrooms it's better to cook them on as high heat as you can. It sears in the juices of the mushroom. These mushrooms are not very wet though, so you can go down a little bit on the heat. It depends on how much moisture is in the mushroom. Once it gets to a certain point, I don't want to cook it all the way because I'm going to cook it in the broth as well. So once it gets to a certain point, I'm going to add a little bit of butter, some shallots to finish. And I don't really want to cook the shallots hard. I just want to cook them right at the end. Just for a minute, I'm going to turn the chanterelles on low and let them cook while we're setting the other broth.
The broth begins by softening chopped leeks and shallots. Then mushrooms are added.
Once the chanterelles are about to this point, we'll add them into here.
Ultimately, all of these ingredients will go into the broth.
Let it work on about a low to medium heat. You don't want to just kill it with heat. Then, I think it's the best to control it. We're going to put a little bit of fish stock in here. You don't want to have a whole lot. You want to have enough just to kind of just come to the top of the mushrooms. Once we're at a boil, we're going to add the tomatoes. These are local golden and red pear tomatoes that I get from a guy right down the way. A touch of roasted garlic puree.
More fish stock.
A little bit of salt and pepper. It's not really a stew, but it is kind of a stew, so I'll set that on the back while we cook the fish.
Both sides are seasoned with salt and pepper.
It's wonder flour, a little, just a touch, not much.
A little olive oil is in the pan.
And since we've cut the skin, the fish stays flat, it doesn't bow up. Light brown. Once we get it over to this side, a little bit of herbs.
Parsley, sage, and thyme.
Touch of butter. Take the butter. Let it get the juices from the fish. Let it bake just a little bit, and then we'll finish it in the oven.
350 degrees for 2 to 3 minutes. The broth is finished with basil puree and basil oil.
Just bring it off. Touch of basil oil. fish right on top. Take a few of the chanterelles, just run them right on top.
Fresh basil leaves are the final garnish.
We're done.
For 2 years running, Norman Love was named one of the 10 top pastry chefs in America by Chocolatier magazine. Not surprisingly, he was appointed to World Pastry Cup 99 USA team. In January, the team will compete in France against some 20 other countries. His dessert is Kahlua Souffle.
We first start with our milk on the fire. We're going to be making our souffle base. I've roasted some espresso beans, and I mean roasted. I've placed them in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees, just to sweat or to release the oils from the beans. And by taking a rolling pin, I'm going to break the espresso beans and to assist them in releasing their flavor in the infusion with the milk. A good measurement is about 100 grams of beans to a liter of liquid. So here I have a liter of liquid or milk on the fire. I'm going to add my espresso beans.
The beans can infuse in the milk overnight.
I'm going to add a vanilla bean to it also, just to help push the coffee flavor. Split the bean open. Scrape with the back of my knife to get the bean, or the seeds, out of the center of the bean.
Meanwhile, butter and bread flour are creamed. The espresso-infused milk is drained, and the flour-butter mixture is added.
With the whisk, we're going to work that into the mass. We're going to cook the roux, if you will, for about 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll see it will thicken pretty well. You continue to whisk. Once you start to see it releasing from the bottom of the pan, we can remove it from the heat.
The base goes back into the electric mixer. Sugar is added, and using the paddle attachment, the mixture is cooled. Egg yolks are added.
And we're then going to slowly add our egg yolks, a few at a time. Place the warm mixture into a bowl, and you want to allow this to come to room temperature, or actually even cool, for a few hours before you continue in folding the meringue.
After the souffle base is cooled, egg whites are beaten into a meringue, and the base is flavored with Kahlua.
And we're going to incorporate the two well together.
The souffle will go into butter and sugar-coated ramekins.
We're going to add the starch, and it's just about a teaspoon of starch. It's very important that you don't over-whip your egg whites. The egg whites should still have a very shiny cast to them. And there's two ways to check if the egg whites have been properly mixed. One is that when you lift the egg whites, it forms the beak of a bird. And the other is that it will cling onto the side of the bowl of the egg whites will cling on the side of the whipping bowl, so that not to be too soft or to be too tightly whipped. If you start to see a grainy, dull-looking egg whites, you know that you've whipped too much, and it really is necessary to re-whip the whites. The nice folding motion. We're going to fold the egg whites into the souffle base. And then we can fill our bowls. And you want to fill completely to the top. And then with your thumb, take the inside of the bowl and just run your thumb right around to ensure that there's a very, very clean surface on the end, and it will allow the souffle to rise straight.
Bake at 385 degrees for 18 minutes. The souffle is served with chocolate sauce and a honey cinnamon cream sauce.
As the souffle comes out of the oven, we dust the souffle with sugar. This is our Kahlua Espresso hot souffle served with a dark chocolate sauce and a honey cinnamon whipped cream.